This video dives into the criminal life of one of Tembisa's most wanted masterminds, Wellington Bibi Kanenda. Bibi was groomed by serious kingpins and shaped into a robber extraordinaire. For years, he kept his operations low-key, moving quietly in the shadows. But everything changed in 2018 when his crew pulled off one of the most daring heists in South Africa, hitting 2 cash vans at the same time in Benoni. That robbery blew the lid off everything. Investigators soon learned that Bibi was the mastermind behind a ruthless network of cash-in-transit robbers operating across the country. Now, after that heist, he vanished and spent 2 years on the run, moving between provinces under different identities. Eventually, he was arrested. But even now, 7 years later, his trial hasn't properly begun. It might only start in 2026. Now, in this episode, we'll explore the rise, the legend, and the downfall of Tembisa's most wanted robber, Bibi Kanenda.
Transit heist is to remain in custody in Mpumalanga. The suspected heist kingpin, Wellington Bibi Kanenda, was arrested during a crime intelligence operation. Kanenda is allegedly linked to at least 23 heists across Mpumalanga, Gauteng, the Northwest, and the Limpopo province. His arrest also relates to crimes he allegedly committed in 2016. Kanenda is alleged to have made off, along with his co-conspirators, with more than 45 million rand over the past 2 years. He will appear in court on the 20th of next month.
To understand the story of Bibi, you must first understand the place that shaped him. Bibi grew up in Tembisa, in a section known as Kalambazo. Anyone who knows the area will tell you that in the 90s, if you went from there, you had no business going there. It was a place defined by violence, gangsters, and every kind of social struggle. Like most families in Kalambazo, Bibi's home was poor and he was raised mainly by his mother. From a young age, the streets pulled him in. He got involved in crime just to survive. Now, in the beginning, he was breaking into houses in the suburbs, but what made his name popular in the hood was the car thefts. Bibi wasn't a flashy gangster, but he had one weakness: beautiful cars. You see, in the hood, as a gangster, a nice whip is more than just transport, it's a trophy. And if you're a legend, you must have a dope one. You see, Tembisa in the early 90s was crawling with stolen car syndicates. Some of the youngsters involved were teenagers, stealing multiple cars a day, making more money than their parents had ever seen. Tra even spoke about this, about guys from Soweto. Now, these young hustlers were raised by a generation of guys who grew up in the 70s, a militant era that shaped the 1976 uprisings. Now, these were the same people who, under Oliver Tambo's call, made the country ungovernable in the 80s. Now, that militant anti-establishment mindset was passed down to the 80s and the 90s kids. And remember, this was a time when deadly political battles were raging in the townships. ANC versus IFP, with PAC and UDM also in the mix. Now, some of the youth took that same militant energy straight to the streets, becoming hardened criminals before they were even adults. One of the men shaped by that brutal environment was a figure known as Bless. I'm not sure of his full names, but I think it was Blessing from Tsepo. But everyone in Tembisa and across Gauteng connected to the streets knew exactly who he was. Bless wasn't just another criminal. He was a kingpin, a street legend, and his speciality was robberies, and his crew was made up mostly of young men from Tembisa. Now, Bless had deep connections and access to some of the most skilled and experienced robbers in South Africa. Now, according to Street Google, he was the one who introduced Bibi to the world of cash robberies. Now, at the time, Bibi had already earned a reputation as one of the best getaway drivers around. But through spending time with Rotmans like Bless and other street-smart hustlers like Mabuti, Bibi got schooled in the bigger picture. Planning, strategy, logistics. See, they were grooming him to think like a kingpin. Bless's reign ended around 2010, if I'm not mistaken, in a robbery gone wrong. Now, if the street whispers are true, it happened in Bedfordview. They were targeting a group of Chinese money carriers, guys that successfully robbed before thanks to an inside man. But on this day, something changed. It looked like a trap was set. The crew walked into an ambush and both Bless and Mabuti were shot and taken out on that day. Now with Bless and Mabuti gone, a power vacuum opened. That's when Bibi stepped forward, using everything he had learned, the connections, organizational skills and discipline. He rose to the top and became the man with the blueprint, the one pulling the strings. That's how he eventually got crowned as the mastermind. When Bibi started rising in the streets and making real money from cash robberies, he still kept a low profile. People knew he was a gangster from the rumors, but most didn't know exactly what he was involved in. He never really bragged, never showed off, but he drove nice cars. See, once you start making serious money in the hood, the streets will speak for you. Now, as the cash from the robberies rolled in, Bibi began buying taxis to clean his money. He also invested in properties, including houses out of town in places like Bloemfontein and Tzaneen in Limpopo. Bibi organized these crews with gangsters from all over. They did robberies across the country, more especially in Gauteng, Mpumalanga, Limpopo, and the Northwest. He became the mastermind behind a long list of cash-in-transit heists, operating across multiple provinces with military-style precision. Now, according to the media, his gang allegedly pulled in around 46 million rands in just 2 years. Now, law enforcement linked at least 23 heists to his name. Bibi's name exploded nationwide in 2018 after a dramatic, highly publicized incident, the double cash van bombing in Boxburg, May 17, 2018. An operation authorities traced back to his gang. Now, that moment cemented him as one of the most legendary masterminds in South Africa's underworld. On the day of the robbery, 2 G4S armored vans left a depot in Boxburg to go drop off money at Absa Bank. The robbers struck on Atlas Road, a location that was no accident. This was a military-style operation. More than 10 suspects moving in multiple vehicles, hitting the vans with precision. The attackers, they opened fire with automatic rifles, engaging security guards in a fierce shootout. Then came the moment that shocked the country. They used explosives to blow open the vans. Now, after the blasts, they grabbed the cash bags and even firearms from the inside. A police chase followed, with ground units and a helicopter pursuing the suspects. Some of the robbers fled to George Gore Hostel in Johannesburg, where several were arrested. Police recovered at least 1 rifle. 2 guards were injured, and then 1 shot in the leg and the other suffering a head wound. The Hawks used a combination of intelligence and digital tracking to close in on the gang. They looked at cell phone movements, cross-referenced them with known criminals, people who had just been released on parole or bail. They meshed roles, histories, and behavior patterns. Now, one gang member used 20 phones and 50 SIM cards, trying to hide his tracks. Now, investigators started with 400 names, and they narrowed it down to 153, then to 12 names, and finally zeroed in on 5 key suspects. Basically, they used a database of people who got out on parole and bail, but guys who had crimes related to robberies, especially CIT robberies. Now, they tracked these people through their phones to check who's communicating with who and where geographically are these people. Are they close to anywhere these crime scenes are happening? And then over time, through these communications, they were able to see repeat communications between certain group of people. That's how they eventually narrowed it down from 400 to 5 key players, because as the number got smaller and smaller, now they were able to actually listen into the conversations. Then they were able to pinpoint who exactly are the key players. Some of Bibi's most trusted lieutenants were arrested soon after the crackdown began. These included Sello, the teacher Senyatsi, Tato the bomber, Spikiri Machika, Kelvin Buzmulete, Stanford Madam Mahangwane, and Jabulani Boy Dodo, amongst others. Now, according to law enforcement, parts of Bibi's crew may have had military or paramilitary training, which explains their precision during the robberies. One of the most notorious lieutenants is Tato Gaupatu, a Motswana from Botswana, known in the streets under the name the Bomber. He earned that name because he was the man behind the explosives, a specialist who blew open cash vans and ATM with ruthless skill. Now, his criminal history runs deep. In 2011, a Botswana newspaper reported that he escaped from custody in Magoditsane police station in Botswana. From there, he ran to South Africa. Now here, he was known as one of the syndicate's top explosive experts, providing the technical knowledge needed to pull off high-level CIT bombings. One wild thing about the bomber is how he allegedly continued coordinating robberies from inside prison after his arrest. How he did it, it's best left to the imagination. But it involved a cell phone, a laptop, and a network of loyal soldiers on the outside, and also an inside person. The bomber had a weakness. He couldn't resist showing off. Flashy clothes, piles of cash, fancy cars. He posted everything on social media. What he thought was flexing became evidence. Police studied those pictures and connected the dots, and eventually he was tracked down and arrested. After several members of his gang were arrested, Bibi vanished into the wind. For 2 years, he lived like a ghost. One day people saw him in Tembisa, the next day he was gone. He slipped between places, Tembisa, Tzaneen, and mostly in Bloemfontein, where he lived under a new identity, Muzi Masilela. Now in Bloem, he kept a low profile at first, but as time passed, he got comfortable, too comfortable. He slowly drifted back into crime and was not hiding anymore. That's when things fell apart. He was caught driving a stolen vehicle, a car many believe was meant to be used in a future heist. Once arrested, more charges began to surface. Police linked him to a 2016 case where Bibi and his crew were involved in a shootout with police and a security guard was laid down. What actually happened on the day, a 12-member group was conspiring to commit a cash-in-transit robbery in Mpumalanga. Now, police received information about the planned heist on Delmas Road, and a swift operation involving the Hawks, crime intelligence, and the task force was launched. Bibi has now been on trial for almost 7 years, but the charge haunting him the most is the murder of a security guard in Kriel, Mpumalanga. Now, over the years, the criminal life took nearly everything from him. Many of his closest friends and comrades are gone. 5 to about 10 of his guys from Tembisa were laid down in a police shootout in Cape Town after a failed CIT heist. From the era of kingpins like Bless to now, Bibi is one of the few remaining robbers from Tembisa still alive.